Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I am inviting you to join us, me and my patrons, in finishing this illustration for November, which is a paint-along illustration that I make for my patrons every month. So what I do is I draw a illustration for the month and then I scan it and I upload the image so that they can download the image and print it, and in a session we sit down and we paint it together. So I invite you mid-session to join us where we colour in the image. So the first thing that I did was add the shadows, and now we are going to continue with adding the colour. Okay, so first things first, I need to dilute some of this. Naples yellow, and prepare some of this English red on the side. So I'm going to pick up some of this Naples yellow and I'm going to start adding some. Again, this Ultimo brush, really good for the details here, to get into those little corners. Pick up some of this and then move it about a bit. And continue adding this Naples yellow. I have tried so many Naples yellows for this technique for the paper and I always return to the Winsor and Newton one. It's just so good. It is very easy to work with and it isn't too yellow. I'm just dropping in some of that English red corners. That English red. Another nice thing about this Naples yellow is that it doesn't stain too fast, so I can move it about and soften it. And add a little bit of that colour, that reddish colour to it, and it mixes so well with it. Okay. See, this area has dried, but I can still move the pigment about, which is quite helpful. So now to go to our mandrake, and for our mandrake I'm going to spritz these colours a little bit. These are some deep light colours that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to pick up some of this umber light. I love umbers. I need to make a video about umbers and call it a love letter to umbers. I adore umbers. and some umber dark, which I'll put on the side here, and some light yellow ochre here. Okay, so now I'm going to change my brush and I'm going to use my Tintoretto brush because this is softer than the Ultimo that I was using. And I'm going to take the Umber Light, which has a very yellow hue, and begin adding some colour to my mandrake. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting the colour, lifting basically the water that is excessive, and just softening it with my brush. Then I'm going to add some of this ochre, this light ochre, light yellow ochre to it in areas, just to have some variety of colour. Umbers are really easy to use as well. They don't stain, so you have a lot of leeway with umbers. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to think about the leaves while that is drying. After, I'll go and add some more colour, but I need to think about the leaves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some Soul of the Oak by Deep Deep Light, and I'm going to pick up some Rhubarb by Deep Deep Light, and I'm going to start again by adding the colour to the area where there's shadow. I'm going to just scribble in the colour. Pick up some of this Soul of the Oak again. I am not going to colour it in fully. I do like leaving like white bits because they for me, they just bring the colour to life. It looks more sketchy and it looks more alive. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to add some Soul of the Oak, and then I'm going to pick up some of this Rhubarb, and I'm going to just vacuum a little bit of the colour there. I can go and add some more later. And then some Soul of the Oak on the top. This technique of not colouring in the leaves is so good when you're sketching, basically when you're basically wanting to have a very sketchy feel of the illustration. It just makes it look more alive to my eyes than just filling it in. For years I just filled in the leaves, then I stopped. I thought, you know what, they look so much more interesting with little highlights, little white highlights. Okay, so I'm going to let those dry so I can do that little one there. And I'm going to go back with my Ultimo this time. And I'm going to pick up some of this Solo the Oak and Rhubarb to do the part here. And then pick up some of this Van Dyke Brown, and I'm going to go and trace the roots, avoiding going over the parts where I put the dirt. So it looks like the dirt is covering the roots. I have to thank Jackie Peacock again for the recommendation of these Ultimo brushes. I was watching one of her videos and she was saying how much she likes them, and I tried them. I tried basically the 2 and the 4, and I really love them. Okay, I think that's done. So next on the list of illustrations we're going to be completing for this page is going to be the mushrooms. So I've prepared some forest pigeon on my palette along with some rose Marrakesh. Again, both colours are by Deep Deep Light. And I'm going to pick up some of this forest pigeon and start adding it to my mushroom. Again, I'm adding the colour where my shadow is. As I go along, I'm going to pick up some of this rose Marrakesh and add it here. I do love the mix of these 2 colours. It's another combination that I really enjoy. So, dabbing a little bit more of this forest pigeon in there. I'm just going to let it dry. Then I'm going to pick up again the forest pigeon. Adding it to my darkest area of the mushroom. Not completely filling the mushroom in. Again, I want that sketchy feel to it. And plopping that rose Marrakesh in there. And pick up again some of this forest pigeon for the final mushroom here. Washing off my brush, then picking up some of this rose Marrakesh. I almost dipped my brush into my drink. Classic move. Everyone who has worked with watercolours has had that happen to them, I bet. So I've used a little bit of that acorn rust and some English red. I'm going to do a little bit of orange hued leaves there. If you don't have these colours, you can use quinacridone gold and a red earth to achieve this. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some of the umber dark to have it on hand. Wash my brush thoroughly to get all the other colours off. I'm going to take some of this light yellow ochre and add some underneath here. While that's wet, I'm going to pick up some of this umber dark and just plop it into the mix. It's a very technical term there, plop. Okay. I'm going to do the same with the other three. Put that there. Again, some of this umber dark. Just adding it where my shadows are. Just so that it's not one flat colour. And I think these two mix nicely. The light yellow ochre and the umber dark. And while that is drying, I thought I might do the berries. So I mixed, while I was waiting for that to dry, I mixed some of that English red with some quinacridone coral. And I'm going to pick some up and start colouring the berries. I'm softening it, adding some highlight, or rather letting some highlight shine through. Do the other berry there. Quinacridone coral is such a good mixing colour. That's another colour that I would always have on my palette. I love it. So the time has come to colour our birdie. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this umber dark and with that I am going to colour in the beak. If you hear someone eating, that is Baloo. He finally came back in. We had as I might have mentioned earlier, we had an earthquake this morning, quite a strong one, and he just ran off, but now he's back, thankfully. Okay, so we've done the beak there. I'm going to mix some of this dark umber, or umber dark, with some of this forest pigeon. So I can make a grey. Sorry about that, it just won't, it won't set properly, and it's just, yeah, it's just shaking. Okay, I think that's okay. And I'm going to start colouring in my little birdie with this grey. Start here. Okay. Add a little bit more here. Billy was munching away. He was on the table before, but I waited for him to move again so that I could continue the painting. Just adding some lines with some dark umber and some light umber. And I'm trying to go with the contour of the bird, so it's slightly curved, the line. Again, avoiding those highlights, because I like them. I like to have a little bit of white in between. And here, I think I'm going to do some, take some of this forest pigeon, and I'm going to do some circles. And I'm going to take some of this dark umber. I'm going to do some more circles, but smaller. And I can't help myself. I'm going to do a little pink cheek to my bird, which I think is quite cute. I love leaving white with watercolour because watercolour and the white of the paper work so well together. It just, leaving just a little bit of white, or in this case a lot of white, it just, I think, brings the colour to life. I'm going to go here and add a tiny bit more of this forest pigeon just to finish things off. Thank you all so much for joining us in this little Patreon session. If you would like to find out more about my Patreon, link is down below. I think it's time to leave you with my little bit about hope, which is do not let go of it. Just hold on to hope and know that I am holding on right there with you. I love you guys so much. Keep safe, keep creative. Till next time. Bye-bye for now. Bye.